Hello.
Hello there.
Hello. We're back again. The two crazy ladies.
Wait,
Crazy,
speak for
crazy.
yourself. Speak
Yeah,
for yourself.
speaking for the both of us. I think I know you well enough now. I mean, the first video we talked about how we didn't know each other well enough when we were walking the first
He's like,
Camino.
those times have passed. That ship has
Yeah,
sailed.
that ship has sailed. So here we are. We're both crazy. And we love each other. Just as crazy as we are. So today we're going to talk about preparation. Preparation. So yeah, there's a whole big, I mean, I think last week we talked about discerning whether we want to do the Camino or not.
Yeah,
This whole packing thing is a whole other discernment process.
it really is. But some of my fondest memories of our trip is us traipsing off to the REI store and acting like total idiots when, what size backpack do I
Making the
need? What
backpack.
do I this? We were like kids in a candy store,
We were.
remember?
We
All the
were.
stuff we thought we had to have.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, but no, preparation is a really joyful part.
it is.
My memories of preparation actually with you are very joyful. I
Yeah,
always those memories
they
bring a
were.
smile to my face.
They were a lot of fun. I think we actually have a video on the YouTube channel of us trying on the backpacks
Yeah,
and being
probably.
sized.
Yeah.
I guess that's the first thing we should talk about is actually the backpack.
Yeah.
And, you can't just pull a backpack off the rack and think you're going to be okay. You
And
know?
we did see a lot of people on our Camino that were, by their own admission, in really oversized backpacks.
Yeah.
That tended to be the norm, that people were carrying backpacks that had a bigger capacity than they actually needed.
Yeah. I think we
So
actually saw a guy. Remember that guy that we went when we went to that nice cafe? We were having those
that's
croissants.
exactly what I was thinking about.
He had like a 40-liter backpack. And he was like, "Yeah, I think at the next stop, I'm gonna send half this stuff home."
Yeah,
It was like
yeah,
40 liter. I mean, compared to what we had, it was
yeah. And
tall.
the top third of it was empty.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was it was just it was just a lot of stuff we had. But the
So what
first
did
thing
we
that
have? 36?
no, I think we had 20 something.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we didn't have a
I'll have
36. It
okay,
was
28 maybe?
20, yeah, like 27, 28,
Yeah, that's right. So that's the number
26.
one thing that I would say is um if you're going to buy a backpack, go to a place like REI,
Mm-hmm.
a reputable place that has people that really know what they're talking about and see what they tell you. But if you get above like a 32, you should start to question.
Yeah, it's not
You should
necessary.
start to question it
It's definitely
because
not necessary.
smaller is better.
Yeah.
And which is going to lead us into what we're ultimately going to talk about today, in that you just don't need as much stuff
No,
as you
you
think you're
don't.
going to need.
You don't. And it was interesting. I mean, starting off with the backpacks, I mean, we decided, and I think it was from like all the stuff that we were reading online too, the idea of going to REI, to people who know what they're talking about, and whether they knew about the Camino or not, they knew how to size. They knew, based on the questions that you asked, they knew in what direction to point you. If you told them where you were going to be, what your goal was, where, weather conditions or whatever, they pointed you in the right direction. And we went to REI that day, and all three of us were trying on different backpacks, and depending on our body shape, size, how tall we were, whatever. And
How
then
it lands on your hips.
yeah, how it lands on the hips, and the length of it just all matters. And they're able to tell you and point you in the right direction for your body style, what type of bag you need and where it should fit. And then they tell you how to tighten it up and whatever. You got straps here, you got straps around the waist where those straps are supposed to fall. And it was great. And
Yeah.
even the idea that, if you remember, like our backpack had that little curve so that there would be an airflow in between the backpack and our backs so that we weren't, sweating with the backpack on our backs. All these things that I would have never even thought about if the lady hadn't mentioned it,
Mhm.
you know?
And I remember distinctly, them talking about the way the piece that cinches up around your hips, and that, her explaining to me that you're actually carrying the weight of your backpack on your hips, not
On
on
your
your
back.
back.
Yeah.
And I had never hiked before.
Yeah.
I'd never carried a backpack before, so I didn't know any of this stuff. I
Right.
didn't understand it. But boy, when we were underway, I understood really quick when
Yeah.
I would cinch that thing up, and if it would creep down, and I would cinch it up and put it back on my hips and feel the relief immediately.
Yeah.
So that's the number one thing that I would recommend, is if you haven't already been to a professional to understand what size backpack you should have for your body in this trip,
Yeah.
then you should go to one,
Yeah.
and see what they say. And if you get anything above a 30, you should begin to question,
Yeah.
because I'm a big believer that we should go to experts, but we should also question what really makes sense for us.
Yeah.
You should question that, because we found that when we sized down, we were never really looking for
Fitting
space
in.
in our
Yeah.
backpack.
And I would say even that if you got, properly sized, I would say start with the backpack first, the size of the backpack. Smaller, better than larger, obviously. So for your body style, if you could get between a 26 and a 30, go with the 26. And then from there, determine what you're going to bring and what's important to you. Because
Right.
that's the very first start of a lesson in letting go, which is what the Camino is all about. So you start right there. If you think you need 4 pairs of pants and it's not going to fit in a 26 liter, then just take 2 and deal with it. That kind of thing. So,
Right.
you know, get together on your bed all the things that you think, like we did, all the things that we thought we wanted to take, right? What we needed, what we read about online, all these things that we needed. By the time we got our backpacks and we realized all that stuff wasn't going to fit, we started, this is not going to work. This is less important. This is less important. I guess I can't take 3 pairs of pants, so I'll just take 2. I can't take the 5 shirts, so I guess I'll just take 2. And the only thing that really mattered was I must take what I'm going to put on my feet, the 2 different options, and everything else was just like whatever fits, but the most important stuff first and less than what I expected,
Yeah.
right? So,
So if you're actually looking at what's most important, we jumped right into the backpack, but then the reality, the most important thing that you're going to consider in this whole trip are your feet.
feet. Hmm.
And, we're not really used to thinking about that. We're
No.
not really used, we think about what shoes are comfortable, but this takes foot care to a whole nother level that most of us are not even aware of.
Yeah.
So I remember that we actually took a trip to REI, and I think I have at least some photos, if not some videos, of us trying on different hiking boots,
Mhm.
and seeing what we liked and what we didn't like. And I think you and I went with totally different brands
Yeah.
because of what felt better for each of
For each
us.
one of us. Yeah.
Um, but that's the next piece,
Yeah.
or maybe the first piece,
Yeah.
is what you're going to put on your feet, and what you're going to carry. And those two things kind of dictate everything else that's going to be going on in your journey, wouldn't
Oh,
you
yeah.
say?
Without a doubt. And again,
Yeah.
we talked about going to the professionals for the backpack. I would say that if you have someone in your community somewhere local that you can go to get properly fitted for shoes. I think that's another thing that you should really consider.
Yeah, and we
Just
did
go
that.
buy it off the rack. I mean, obviously, a lot of people do that and it works. Go a half a size bigger. If you think you're a 7.5, buy an 8. If you think you're an 8, buy an 8.5 because your feet are going to swell. But go, t- we went to a professional and he properly sized us. And thank God that I did because I thought I was a 7. Some shoes, I'm a 7.5. And he blew me out of the water when he told me that my official size is an 8.
Hmm.
So I should have gotten like an 8.5, really. You
Yeah.
know,
And was it just a half size up, or did he tell us to go a size up?
I thought he said a half a size up. That might have been my problem because I think I did go a half a size up, and I think I could have gone a full size up.
I think I might have gone a full size up,
Yeah,
but the reality is you can't be one of these people that's really stuck on your shoe size.
right.
That happened with one of our early companions in the journey. She just could not adjust to the fact that uh, she had to up a shoe size. And remember, that was a real problem because when you're walking on your feet all day, your feet are going to swell and they're going to
Wow.
spread.
Hmm.
And so you need that extra room in there to give your feet the ability to spread and to swell a little bit
Yeah,
without coming into contact with the leather of the shoe and causing extra friction for blisters.
yeah,
So, if you have you really have to that's another part of the letting go is that if you say, well, I've always been, I'm a 7, and the guy says, no, you're an 8.
hmm,
You got to say, no, no, no. You need to take his advice and do whatever he tells you to do in terms of your shoe, because it is the most important thing. They are going to be with you, 16 hours of the day.
yeah,
And so my advice there is listen to the professionals. And if you haven't been professionally fitted, this is a great time to go do that.
yeah.
Because if there are issues with your feet, if you have a pronation issue, they'll be able to tell you what that is and they can fit you with orthotics, which you may not have even known you
Knowing that you
need,
need. Yeah.
but you can stick them in your hiking boots and be so much more comfortable.
Hmm.
So I think that I'm really glad that we did that.
Yeah.
And
Without a doubt.
to this day, I still have those. I bought 2 pairs of hiking boots. I bought one winter pair, which I quickly realized were going to be too hot. And then I bought a regular pair, the non-waterproof. And I still use them. I still really like the fit of those boots.
Mhm. Yeah, I like my boots. I still have those too.
Yeah. The other thing that I would think about, since we're still on the topic of feet, is your socks.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I was just thinking about that today because I was kind of
I still have Camino
refreshing
socks.
my refreshing my memory, of
Yeah,
what I bought some socks on the Camino, which were great. But
I do too.
before that, we bought I don't know, did you get the right socks that
I
Father
did,
Rainier?
and I still love those.
Yeah,
The right socks are double, 2 thin layers of sock,
right. And
right?
it's like moisture wicking
Yeah. And they are great brand. It's WRIGHT.
GHT. Yeah,
Um,
good socks.
we
And
also
then
got some wool. I got a couple of pairs of wool socks. I don't
yeah,
remember what
that's
the
what
brand
I
is.
did. I think those were the REI brand,
Yes, they
like
will.
hiking socks,
Yeah.
wool socks. But the
Yeah.
other sock, I don't know, did you get the toe socks, the Ingy Ingy?
Yes. And
Those
I
were really good.
remember yes, toe socks are really important. I'd totally forgotten about that.
Yeah.
I threw mine out at the end of the journey
Yeah.
because I was tired of wearing them and
Yeah.
I haven't worn them since, but they were
They were great.
absolutely instrumental in keeping
Yeah.
blisters away.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. They were good. I like those.
Yeah. So
I don't
get
know, still
yourself
got
a
some stuff.
couple pairs of toe socks,
Yeah.
couple of pairs of right socks, couple of
Yeah.
pairs of REI wool socks, right? I
Yeah,
think, I mean, I don't, I think in terms of, um, the socks don't take a lot of room in your
yeah,
backpack,
you just roll
and
them
you
up.
can change them constantly
Right,
if you want to.
yeah,
And there are times when you will need to just do a change of sock
yeah,
because your feet are heating up. So
yeah,
you stop, you take your boots off, you take your socks off, you let your feet cool down, and then you may want to start with a fresh pair of socks. It kind
yeah.
of
Well,
just depends.
sometimes your socks, the socks that you take off actually are from your sweating, are wet. You don't wanna put
Yeah.
them back on, because that's what causes the blisters, so you have to put on a fresh pair of socks. So, if you don't have room for the extra pair of pants, take out the pants, add the extra socks.
Mhm.
The pants really don't matter.
We got by with, I know I brought just
I
two
just
pairs of
2
pants, and I
pairs of
think you did
pants.
too.
Yeah,
And I think I had maybe two long sleeve shirts and two short sleeve shirts.
yeah,
I think I did have that.
I
But
think I
they
had
also, go
I
ahead.
think I had 1 long sleeve, 1 short sleeve, and 1 tank. That's all I had.
And you can, whatever, I know you had a really good idea that you bought a shirt like from TJ Maxx or something that was super thin.
Mhm.
And I remember being impressed by that as
Yeah,
we were walking because you could wash it and it would be dry like in a
in no
minute.
time. Yeah.
So that's something to really think about.
Mhm.
Um, and you might think, oh my gosh, two pairs of pants and like two shirts. And yeah, because you're just in a wash one, wear one kind of
Yeah.
mode.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, so it's somewhat shocking when you lay all your stuff out on the bed and you realize that you're going on this 30-day journey and that's all the clothes you're going to bring. Now, some people do bring pajamas,
Yeah.
or lots of people will bring things that will double, like they might have like a thin jersey kind of dress that they end up sleeping in.
Mhm.
Um, or I actually didn't. I slept in my clothes. I took a shower, I dressed for the next day, and I went to bed. Um, and the reason I did that is because we left so early in the morning that I didn't want to be bothered waking everybody up by having to put my clothes on. So literally when we would get up, we would slip out of bed, wrap up our sleeping bags, and we were
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah. I didn't
Um,
bring, like, pajamas per se, but I did have my leggings and a t-shirt.
I remember that.
So
Yeah.
that's what I slept in.
Yeah.
Um,
And so if I were to do it again, I might bring a pair of leggings.
yeah. And the
Um,
leggings, because they were leggings, like, if we got to a place at like 4 in the afternoon and we were tired and sweaty or whatever and we showered, I would put the leggings on and the t-shirt, but it was just leggings and a t-shirt, so we could go get something to eat, or we could, hang out in the
yeah.
little lounge area of wherever we were staying. So it kind of doubled as just hangout clothes after, you know,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that
the
was
clothes were really pretty minimal. And then after your clothes and your socks and your shoes, you're going to want to think about maybe a pair of sandals, like hiking
yeah,
sandals,
hiking
because
sandals,
you
which
might
we
have some days
also,
that are really
the
hot.
2 of us got different brands, different types.
Yep. So check out what
More
you really
comfortable.
like.
Yeah.
Um,
Don't
yep,
think that just because you're going with a friend of yours or something that you got to get the same stuff. you
right,
know,
right. We
it's
had
whatever you're
very different,
comfortable.
yeah,
Yeah,
you and I had very different brands of all that.
yeah,
Um, just make sure that you don't slip around in them because when anything you're slipping around in your feet when you're walking those kind of
yeah,
distances, you're going to have blisters.
yeah,
And we should probably just have a whole nother thing just on blisters,
yeah.
right?
we
And
will.
how to care for them. Um,
I'm upset I don't have any pictures of mine.
oh, yeah. So it's,
Yeah.
and it's not to say that you're definitely going to get blisters. I mean,
No,
I would have made it through without blisters had I not just been really stupid about
exactly.
wearing
Me
some
too.
sandals.
Same
And
here.
that was all it took to
Yeah.
have blisters. So it's not the end of the world. you know, it's not the
Yeah.
end of the world to get blisters, but if you can avoid them, so much the
Yeah,
better.
that would be better.
Yeah.
But I
So
think, thinking back on the blisters, I think that was part of the journey too, because it taught me a lesson. I don't
I
know if it taught you a
remember we
lesson,
talked
but
a
it
lot
taught
about
me a
that.
lesson.
That's why I think we should save that for its
Yeah,
own thing, because
yeah,
I think that part of it was so important and
yeah,
so meaningful that I think we should wait on that and
yeah,
just let
definitely.
you explore that more.
Hmm.
Um, and then after that, you know, and this is where it gets hard. It's kind of like the things you think you might want to bring. So what I would say pragmatically is you need to think carefully about your electronics,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
You're going to have your phone, and I would recommend you get yourself a little portable charger and you get yourself a long
Board.
charging cord,
Yep. The longest.
because you don't know where your outlet's going to be. It might be right next to your bed. It might be, you know, 3 bunks down.
Right.
So it's not always ideal, but you need to charge.
Did we
So
need a special plug? I don't remember. I know I needed one when I went to Lourdes, but now I can't remember if I needed one for Spain.
I think we did.
I think we
I'm
did.
I'm pretty sure we did.
Yeah. So look
But
at that too.
that's something you don't think about it until you're there. And you
Hmm.
can buy cords along the way. I actually went through about 2 cords
Yeah. Right.
just
We
through the
had to
wear
stop.
and tear of in
Yeah.
and out. And I had a couple that gave out on me. So you can buy them, but just be aware that, you know, you're talking a longer cord is better.
Yeah, definitely. 'Cause I didn't have the
Doesn't take,
longer cord.
yeah,
Could have used a longer cord.
yeah.
Sure.
And so, and the charger is really nice because during the day, depending on where you are and the service level you're getting, you may chew through more battery than you think you're going to. So if
Yeah.
you have the charger on you that's always fully charged and ready to go, you don't
Yeah.
really have to be worried about it.
That portable charger.
Yeah, it's just like
Mhm.
about that big.
Yeah,
Um, so that was kind of a,
that's important for sure.
yeah, and I would actually say get yourself a little case or something to put it all in.
Yeah,
Because when you're heading out in the morning, you may not, you know, you may just be trying a lot of times we left and it was dark,
yeah,
and you're trying to be considerate of your bunk mates and you're trying not to make a lot of noise, but you just want to pack up your stuff and get out. So if you have a bag you can just pitch it into along the way, you can tidy yourself up if
yeah,
you need. But if you're just trying to get out, that's just something to be aware of, is get yourself a bag that's not too big, but just big enough to hold all the stuff that you need.
yeah. I would say, I know I think you did too. I know I did. We bought those little travel bags, the cubes. Did you get those?
I did.
Yeah.
I
So,
have mixed feelings as to whether or not they were really useful.
right.
Um, but I mean, if people like, if you said, yeah, I loved them, I can totally see that.
Yeah,
I think with me, I used to spend a lot of time just fumbling around with wherever it was. So
right.
I don't know that I would revisit those if I were
Yeah.
to do it again.
Well, I like them only, and I'll say this not just for the cubes, but also like for to have separate bags for each separate thing that you have, like your toiletries. Even if it's a Ziploc bag, right? You put your toiletries in one bag, you put your first aid stuff in another bag, and then you put your electronics in another bag, right? And then the cube bags, I used like to separate my clothes from like my towel or like my shirts from my pants. And then this way I knew what to grab and just be like quick with everything.
Yeah.
And then the same thing with the bags of like the toiletries and the electronics and the first aid. It's like when you pack them in your backpack, put them in a convenient place. So you're not going to put your first aid inside the main compartment of your backpack. Put it on one of the outside pockets so that when you're walking, you just pull out your first aid. You got a blister and you need to tend to it. You're pulling out your stuff and just going
Yeah.
through it, you know? instead of fumbling through everything.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point about a first aid kit.
Yeah.
You know, when you're leaving, at least I didn't really think too much about it,
Yeah.
but a first aid kit is really important. And when we say first aid, we're really talking about foot care.
Yeah.
Um, so get yourself some antibacterial ointment, some a lot of Band-Aids, different
Band-Aids or open wounds
sizes.
or second skins.
We used, it was called Compeed, right?
Yeah, Compeed.
That's what we used. And lots of people don't like Compeed, but I
I
loved it.
loved it.
I thought it was the best.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just make sure that you have all of that because you will need it. The other thing that we had for feet, Vilma had a whole ritual around her foot care, which was pretty impressive to watch, but around Vaseline at night. Just, you know, we always said like our feet were never better than
Yeah.
they were on the Camino because we took care of them every single night. It was a whole thing that you had to go through.
Yeah.
So I would recommend you get yourself like a small container of Vaseline
Yeah. Well, they
just
have the
for,
little tubes. I forget what was the one that we used. There was another, there was a brand that we
what's
used.
it called? Glide?
No, no, it was something else. It was the Vaseline that came out and it had like a little spongy tip. I'll look it up. I think I still have a tube upstairs somewhere. So next time I'll
Yeah.
talk about
And
names.
you know, the other thing too is like when you're thinking about this and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to remember this? Or what if I forget? You can get any of this stuff along the way. It
Mhm.
is so easy. It's not like you're out in the wilderness.
Yeah, it's not like the Appalachian
You
Trail.
can stop at any point and you know, you're passing through where millions of pilgrims have come before you and the stores have acclimated to what you need. So if you need, you know, Compeed or you need a different type of Band-Aid, chances are you'll be able to find what you need. So if you think, oh, you know, once I start, if I don't remember everything, I'm screwed. No, that's just not the case.
Yeah, well,
You
you come
know,
across. I mean, we
you
came
can you
across a
can
couple of
you can
pharmacies.
adjust to anything that you need to because you're going to be walking through lots of cities
Yeah,
where all of that stuff is accessible to you.
right. I would recommend that you get all the stuff before you go,
Oh yes.
but if you forget something, don't, you know,
Yeah. I'm not saying that you should go
but
without it
definitely,
either,
yeah,
but just don't fret if don't let yourself worry about it.
yeah, right.
I mean,
Right.
we worried a lot before, and if I had realized that, you know, you
Yeah,
can
you
get what
just
you
never
need.
know what you're gonna come across. We had never been there, so we didn't know how, you know, um, if it was, well populated and, what kind of
Right.
cities or things that we were gonna, I mean, you pass by Pamplona, it's like whatever, you get whatever you need.
Yeah.
Like, all these places, these big cities, it's only a matter of days before you get there,
Right.
so
Right.
not gonna run out of stuff and not be able to replenish whatever it is that you got. So
Plus,
even
the
in
other thing
schools.
to remember is that pilgrims will help you.
Yes, I was
Other
just gonna
pilgrims.
say that too. It's like, if you need a Band-Aid, I'm sure somebody can spare a Band-Aid, you
Yeah.
know? They're
Somebody's
always
going to give
looking
you,
out.
we had lots of people give us great advice
Yeah.
with
And even like when
blisters.
if you're sitting down and just airing out your feet, everyone passes by and asks if you're okay, you know?
Mhm.
So I not much to worry about, really,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But always, always err on the side of being well prepared, you know?
But, you know, and this is the great juxtaposition, right? Juxtaposition is that you err on the side of being over prepared, but you don't want to take too much.
Right.
Right? So it's this it's this yin and yang that you fight with your whole way. And I
It's a
guess that's
paradox.
what I'm saying is that if you find that you have been a little too aggressive in
Yeah.
what you need,
Mhm.
you can replenish that.
Yeah.
And what most people do is that rather than replenishing, they're casting off.
Yeah.
right? Sending stuff home
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
or just
Or
deciding
sending
they
it
don't need
to
it,
Santiago
right?
to meet you
So
there.
it's important to kind of just consider the fact that you don't want to be shipping this stuff home. And I'm a great example of that because Vilma will tell you I had the most harebrained ideas of things that I thought I needed or, things that I thought I would really use. And in reality, when you get to the albergue by mid-afternoon and you take a shower and you change and you have dinner, all you're ready to do is go to sleep.
Yeah.
You think, oh, I have to have all these audiobooks to do. Listen, I loaded up
I
on
got time for
audiobooks.
that.
I never had the energy to listen to one thing, maybe a podcast now and again,
Not
but
even,
by and large, I didn't have a mental capacity.
no, not even walking. Like you would think
No,
you're walking alone and no one's talking to you and, you know, you would want to listen to something. No, you just walked and
yeah,
that was okay.
yeah. So it's really like, don't feel like, oh, I'm gonna have to have something to do when I get to, you'll be so tired that you're gonna lay down and you're gonna be asleep. And
Oh,
that's what you're gonna do.
yeah.
And at least until you adjust to the rigors of it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I wouldn't be concerned about all those things. I mean, I know you journaled
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
had
I wrote a very thin journal.
and I actually journaled on my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. You
So
should do that. Yeah.
yeah, so that was another thing that it really wasn't
Hmm.
that big of a deal, but don't get too carried away with, if you think, oh, I have to have a sketch pad or I have to have this or
iPad.
probably don't.
You
You
don't.
probably don't. And it's one of those things that you'll either just grow used to carrying
Hmm.
or you'll cast it off
Yeah.
and say, let somebody else use it because you just won't have the room for it.
Hmm.
And there is something to be said for your you're going to be putting so much energy just into the walking and you really don't have the mental energy sometimes for any kind of noise music you just
Yeah.
you just don't it's to your everything you got is just moving towards your next destination. At least that's what I remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And one thing that just came to my mind as you were talking, Marla, is um, the idea of the phones. You know, we did a lot on the phone. We did Tripcast, we did Polar Steps. We wanted people back home in our parish and stuff to be a part of the journey with us. And so we posted a lot on Facebook. We posted a lot on Tripcast. We did a lot of little notes back and forth. Um, and one of the reasons, if I were to say that I would go back to the Camino and endure that whole process again, it would be to just remain focused on the journey
Mhm.
and not so much on taking photos. And I think Father Rayner says this too. It's like, if my advice to whoever's watching this video is, if your intention is to go on a Camino and go on a spiritual journey and you only want to do it once and you have no intention of ever doing it again, try to take less pictures. Do without do without your phone. Like, keep your phone in your pocket and do the journey. And if you want pictures, literally look online. There will be plenty of pictures of all the places that you passed. And you can just download those pictures and say, I was here. Seriously,
It's so true.
right? I mean, I have a ton of pictures. I think between the both of us, there's like 1,400 something pictures in Tripcast alone. And they're beautiful pictures. And it was a great journey and it was a lot of fun. But I think we lost a little bit of what more we could have gained from the trip. I think if we didn't if we weren't so attached to this. And I think even while we were there, we were commenting to each other and about other people about how we went, like we'd be in albergues and we would just be sitting there, and I'm posting pictures and you're posting pictures and we're not communicating, and other people who we could be meeting on the journey were not communicating with us because they were like this,
Yeah.
right?
It's an incredible temptation.
It
And
is.
it's because the scenery is
It is
just so freaking
amazing.
beautiful
It is.
that you think, oh, I have to capture this. I have to capture this.
Yeah.
If I were to do it again, I would probably take more pictures of you, and of us. Because
Right.
now, as the pictures come up, on my Alexa or whatever, and I think, oh, look at that picture of Vilma and I. That was a great day. Or,
Yeah.
so that's something I think we could really agree on, is that,
Yeah.
you're right. Keep the pictures to a minimum. And if you're going to take pictures, take them with people.
Yeah.
Take them with the person maybe you're with. Take, those, because those are the things you're going to look at, the expressions. You're going to look at, like, the feeling of confidence that
You're
you
gonna remember
have.
how you were feeling at that moment.
Exactly.
So much better than,
Exactly.
listen, if you want pictures of scenery, just email me. Put a comment down below.
We
Send
have,
us
and
pictures. I'll send
we
you my
have
pictures.
literally, people have looked at our pictures and gone, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
you guys took those. I mean, look at the one behind you, for heaven's
Yeah.
sakes. I mean,
It's beautiful.
you were taking incredible pictures.
Yeah. So, hey, if you need a picture, just just do the journey. Enjoy the
Yeah.
scenery. Like, just keep it in your mind, and be present. Be present. That's just my little bit of advice, because like I said, I would go back, not that the first time wasn't amazing, but there's things that I would do different. But of course, hindsight is always 2020.
Mhm.
You want to go back and do something different, but it would be a different approach. But I think that's part of the learning process too. I mean, I guess to each his own. You have to do it your own way, really.
Yep. You have to do it your own way, and you have to do what's right for you. And I know that the people that were in touch with us loved our photos.
Yes.
They loved, there were people who contacted me when I got back and said, you have no idea. I followed your photos every single day. I feel like I did that trip with you.
Hmm.
And that's good. That's great. I mean, I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, just try to resist it's the temptation that we're falling into, more and more of us, every single day.
Right.
Our phones are just taking over our lives.
Yeah.
So just be aware that your temptation there will be great, because you're going to see so much beauty
Oh, it
that you're going
is.
to think
It is.
you
And
have to
and don't
share it
get
with
me
everybody.
wrong. If you're doing it for that purpose, to share your journey with people back home that maybe can't do the journey, that have always dreamed of doing the journey, then hey, by all means do it. But don't allow that to take away from your connection and interaction with other pilgrims.
100%.
Right. I think
Yeah.
that's one lesson I learned is, just make more connections. And
Yeah.
I think if we could, if this video could change somebody's way of doing things and maybe bring that back to the Camino, because I know Father Rayner said that when he first did the Camino several years ago, it was just such a camaraderie, and everyone was together and everyone was mingling and getting together. And now that he's gone back a couple of times after that, he says it's changed so much.
Hmm.
It's lost its connection. And I think if we could kind of just be a little bit more vocal about that and maybe encourage people to just bring that connection back.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think, what do you say? That's it for today? Or did you have anything else that you wanted
No,
to
I think that's it. What do you want to talk about next time?
keep it short? I don't know. We need
Do you
more.
want to talk about your blisters?
Talk about my blisters, or do we want to talk about training, or we don't
Well,
really
we
need to?
probably should
I mean,
talk a little bit
well,
about training.
we actually have a couple of videos of our training. That was the first couple of videos that we did. I mean,
Well, we can actually do both.
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, the training could segue into the why we
Yeah.
need to train.
That's yeah, I think that's important.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
So next week,
All right, my dear.
blisters and training. Woohoo! All
It's
right,
not
dear.
as bad as you think.
I know.
All right.
All
Next
right. Have a
time.
good night. Until next
Later.
time. Bye.
Bye.